Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Nila International Folklore Film Festival, second edition. And today is the inaugural day of the festival. And as with others, we do have interaction with the filmmakers whose films have been selected to the final selection list. Earlier, we conducted the interaction with the filmmakers whose films were included in the panorama. And let me introduce briefly the three participants in this interaction. And we are really delighted to have with us Anant Raina, who is a director, photographer, set dresser, and producer. And today we are discussing about his film Badshah Lear. So welcome, Anand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. And we also have Mr. PM Narayanan, who will be moderating the session for us. And he's an experienced television journalist. He's a media trainer, and he is an accredited Google fact checker, which is a very crucial role, I think, because everything is fake nowadays. So the role of Mr. Narayanan is very relevant and crucial. And we also have a young Ankit Anand, who will be the host. He's a master's student in the ITC School of Design, IIT Bombay. And so about Anant Raina, he is a very experienced freelance filmmaker, and his new non-fiction films, they are just throbbing with life, if one may say so. And during the more than past 1 decade, he has been working with many well-known television channels and media houses like Discovery Channel, National Geographic, Columbia Sportswear, Cartoon Network, and Public Service Broadcasting Trust, that is PSBT. And he has also made his mark. He's if I can describe him, he's a multifaceted personality, and he's adept not only in a director, he's a very brilliant camera person, and he's a producer, and he has worked on projects, as I mentioned, for many important news channels also. And the film which we are going to discuss is Badshah Lear. And that is the first independent documentary film which chronicles the story of the eminent theatre director, Mr. MK Raina, who is the father of Anand also, and who originally belongs to Kashmir. And he has been in Delhi, and on his return back to Kashmir, to his birthplace, and his, from where they had to run away 2 decades ago. And then he had gone the saga of his, so to say, documenting the very valuable tradition of the Bhands community. And then that too, an entire alien sort of theme of Shakespearean thing, transplanting it into a new milieu and a new bhumika, if I can say so. And it's really an interesting film. And as I mentioned, Mr. Narayanan, he has traveled extensively. He has been covering in very strife-torn areas of Sri Lanka when the LTTE and that things were there. And he has been into Afghanistan, and he has covered most of the South Asian region. And he's in the ARD First German Television. He is associated with that. And so welcome Anand, welcome Narayanan, and coming to Ankit Anand, as I mentioned, he is a master's student in interaction design of ITC School of Design, IIT Bombay. We are delighted to have all the three with us, and we look forward to having a very engrossing discussion among you. So over to you, Mr. Narayanan.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Vijay, and it was a pleasure to be among you all. Great. I was watching this film and it's engraved you. I mean, you will get into this film very quickly. I hope I'm audible. I cannot see you now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So actually, this is for me, if I look through your eyes, it's a 3-dimensional film for me. Like a filmmaker going to his ancestral village and seeing what his father is feeling like. I mean, how was that experience?
You're so right on, you hit the nail on the head, because, so I have grown up all my life in Delhi. My mother's not Kashmiri. She's partly Bengali and partly Marathi. We grew up in Delhi. Baba's from Kashmir. So we've grown up with this very mixed heritage. And I have never really, I never lived in Kashmir. So when people used to say, "Arey, you're a Kashmiri," I said, not really, because I don't know what it means to be a Kashmiri. So this film was almost a way for me to interrogate my relationship with Kashmir. So it was a way of me discovering also what am I a Kashmiri? What is so Kashmiri about me? And getting into it through this experience or this work that my father was doing was actually, it was incredible because, he used to keep going to Kashmir and doing these workshops. And one year there was a scholar from Stanford who was writing a book who wanted to see this play. So we went to Kashmir and the Bhands did the play. And when I saw the performance, I was like, I have to tell the story of how this performance was made, because it's incredible. It is political. It is modern. It is folk also at the same time. And so it was actually a fantastic experience, because, there were different threads that I had to sort of tie together, and exploring all those threads was quite a remarkable journey personally.
When did you decide to make a film on it? I mean, you must be going to Kashmir and seeing along with your father. When was this happen? Okay, I want to make a film on it.
So I actually saw this performance in Kashmir, the play, and I decided that I need to tell this story because it was so incredible. So yeah, that was it. And the thing was, I knew that nobody else would be able to, because the Bhands are so close to Baba that they treat him like family. So I already have that access. Plus, also, perhaps nobody else was interested in telling that story. Nobody knew about this story. So then for me, it was like, I think the story needs to be told and I have to be the one to tell it.
Absolutely. Interesting. Actually, most of these actors who with Mr. Raina is working, I have friends of him. And that is fine. I mean, he is in a theater and he inside.
Yes.
So he's an insider. At the same time, he's an outsider. It's quite a complicated relation, the way the Kashmiris are having right now. So it's really explain a lot of inner layers of the Kashmir conflict and the way you guys are living. I mean, it's very amazing and very well crafted film, I should say.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask one little thing. I mean, it's personally touched me. In the film, your father is entering his house after 20 years, maybe more than that. And he was standing on a wall and saying that I don't feel any hate against it. Okay, this has taken. I mean, how do you see that in the present context?
I wish more people thought like that. I wish more people thought that because sadly, what we are doing constantly in our country is punishing people for things that they have not done or are not responsible for, that perhaps were done now even centuries ago by somebody else. And we are visiting those sorrows on the people who are there now. And I think if people were more detached in this way, we would be moving towards something more positive and fruitful than where we are stuck right now. Everywhere, in more than just in Kashmir also, I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, my colleague is also there, Ankit. I think he also would like to ask something to you. So Ankit, can you just come?
Yeah, I'll just start with saying that this is one of the most beautiful documentaries I have seen. So,
Thank you.
And this reminded me when I saw this, there is an opening shot, and you do not, there's nobody talking. You're just shooting the ones who are celebrating life, really. So I want to get you like director's cut. What do you decide before when you're shooting this? What went into your head? Like, I should open 5 minutes of my film with this amazing shot, and I'm not going to explain anything. Nobody's going to talk anything, just going to show. Then I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to introduce the film.
So the first sequence is basically a religious event. There is the Dargah of Ashmakam where the Bhands perform. That's been a thing that they've been doing for years. Like, that's a traditional thing that they do every year. So in my head, I was like, I have to shoot it. You know, can you believe it? My father, who's been to Kashmir like hundreds of times, even he hasn't seen this. He's never been present for this. So I went and I shot the whole thing that happens. Like, you've seen the film, so you know.
Yeah.
So when I wanted to put it in the film, I felt, you know, I wanted to introduce the characters who will be part of the film later. But I didn't want it to be like, oh, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. So I made it almost like what is called a cold open. Like, it's just stuff is happening, and I really don't mind that nobody knows what is this happening. And there's something, the energy builds up, and there is this performance, and you know, then the sound from the fire just seeks into the other thing. The other sort of logistical problem was I couldn't figure out, to be honest, where else to fit this sequence where it would make an impact, where I wouldn't have to explain what's going on. Like, I really didn't want somebody to be saying, oh, we go here and we perform this and that, because they do talk about what their tradition is. But this is one side of their tradition that is not theatre. So I put it almost as like a forward or like an introduction sort of before I explain anything. It's almost to get people in a zone, sort of. Like, that was my thinking. Like, it puts you in a space and in that context, and then we move on with whatever else.
And how this opens is like this opening shot, and how when MK Raina sir is talking about his experience about rituals and burials. So actually that reminded me of this film Soha by Claude Lanzmann. So of course, when we look for resemblances, we are going to find in one or other. But I'm like curious to who are those directors, who are the films, what are those sorts that influence Badshah Lear? What are those most important influences for you here?
You know, to be honest, most of my influences, like, so when I'm shooting, I'm not thinking of influences. It just, I mean, the influences are there in you. You've seen the things, you've been influenced already. When you're working, you're not consciously activating those influences. But I have to admit that I actually end up watching more fiction than I do documentary. So I can't really pinpoint what was influencing me when I was shooting, really. I can't pinpoint that, but I love films I love Asian cinema, Wong Kar-wai and Tsai Ming-liang. I love Latin American cinema, Pedro Almodovar. I love Tarkovsky. And so, you know, whatever you watch, it's there in your brain somewhere. And then your personality, how you are, filters that through your brain and it emerges as something different.
Exactly. So I think this is an osmosis of all those watching all those films. And like you said, you watch more fiction, right? So I said, my next question is, why documentary? Like, you could have this choice being doing fiction and non-fiction. You watch fiction, so why is there inclination toward making documentaries?
Because it's in a way it's less like I don't want like 50, 100 people on the set. I like this small working in with like 3-4 people. And I think there are incredible true stories that have to be told, which fiction cannot tell. Like, I don't think a fiction film about this, maybe it would be as compelling, but there is something about the fact that it really happened that makes it more compelling almost. Like, I love non-fiction because sometimes you see stories and you're just like, you do think that if I wrote this, people won't believe it. But it's happened. You know, there's so many interesting documentaries and you're like, it's practically unreal. So I think there are enough stories in the real world to tell, and I want to tell stories and I want people to tell their own stories. You just become a medium for people to tell their story.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I just want to ask, in continuation to that, I mean, who was directing the film? I mean, you were just following your father, or you did some direction, or did you ask them to do certain things, or you were just because he's just going and hugging his old friend in that house? You know, he asking something. Do you remember? No, I don't remember. So that was so candid and so natural. So, what is your directorial experience in the film?
So in this, there was no direction. Like, it's only the interviews where I had framed questions that I wanted to ask. But apart from that, all the other sequences, I've just shot what was happening. That's it. At that moment, like even I didn't know that this would happen, that Baba would meet this person who he knew from that. I don't think even he knew, because he hasn't been to that area in years. So who is still alive? Who is not? What is going to happen? There's one whole beautiful sequence. I mean, you know, you can make a 3-hour film where we met an old friend of his and they invited him, and this old uncle was sitting and making kebabs and talking to Baba about, you know, how things used to be and how sad he is that they left and all that. And it just happened. And because the ties in this old community are so strong, because all the neighbors knew each other. It was a small community, that they survive. And that, like, as soon as you recognize this person who was from your physical, like, area, there is a bond, I think, already that's there among these people. Amazing. So I didn't really have to direct anything because it just happened.
Very interesting. And amazing shots and takes and everything. I mean, some of these things, like the artifacts which you use, the theater component which you brought into the film. I mean, was it the part of the film initially, or that also evolved during the process? Like
the sequences from the actual play, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those I wanted to be part of the film because I wanted because I knew it was very hard for me to just shoot a performance happening because I was the only person there. So I wouldn't have like 3 cameras to cover it. So I wanted to sort of put this little fictionalized element also and break the sort of realism of the film by putting in an actual scene from the play, which is and sort of shot in a fiction kind of way, where I took coverage and I did shoot from here and there and all that. But but the way they perform it is how they do it in the play also.
Okay, and what kind of stories they narrate in this thing? For example, I saw this picture of it's something looks like the Shiva and all this.
So traditionally, what has happened is, I think now they have, like they say that they used to have 65 stories or something that they used to do, and now there are like a handful left, maybe 10 or 15 stories that they do now. And it's all mixed. So the important thing to know is that all of their Pather is humorous. It is all tongue-in-cheek, it is all funny, it is all slapstick, and it is all improvised, like they say in the play. And it's a mix of stories. So that Shiva's play that was there is very interesting. Like it starts off with this person dressed like Shiva dancing, and then it cuts to something totally different. It becomes a play about a hunter who's hunting some animal, and the local villager is having some argument with the hunter. The hunter is an outsider.
Right.
So there seems to possibly have been a connection that has got lost also in orally passing on these plays from that image of Shiva to this story. What is the connection? It's so then they have another play where a foreign king has come with his concubines and he tries to like show off his greatness, and then the local villagers make a fool of him and steal the women. So it's very folk theatre-y fun plays, but they also have an element of critique, which they do impromptu. Like the jester will always make fun of the ruler or the situation or something like that.
Yes. And the title itself says that instead of king, you change to Badshah, and the other part is Lear. So King Lear becomes Badshah Lear. It's interesting mix of ideas. Yes. Yes, Ankit, I think you want to ask something.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was like researching about films and documentaries, I came up with this interview by Claude Lanzmann. So, and I just want to ask about this. I'll read some quote from him. So he said, like, the division between documentary and fiction has to be changed. Usually in a documentary film, you're filming something that exists or existed before. For Soa, nothing existed. I had to make a pure creation and invent according to it. Is it fiction documentary? It's meaningless. So what's the boundary for you? For example, in that film, there's a guy who's rowing the boat in the opening shots of the film. He's introducing like his singing song, and that guy doesn't exist in real life. So he invented a character. So what is that boundary for you in documentary? Is it like reportage, or is it like do you take creative freedoms with that for this purpose of making a film?
I am quite flexible that way. I think I think there has to be an honesty in your storytelling, in your documentary. As long as, and of course, that is a relative thing. What you think is honest may not be what I think is honest. But of course, I am only speaking from my point of view. If I see that authenticity and honesty, then it doesn't matter whether you've used fiction elements or like Waltz with Bashir was entirely animated and things like that. They're all visual tools to tell a story, and we need to push boundaries here and there. Some film may become so fictionalized that it's barely non-fiction. Some may be so factual that sometimes you find it's so boring. So I think both sides you need to push boundaries, and you keep finding a new status quo. Like I made Badshah Lear in one way. It's entirely possible that my next film will be totally different, because I am also a different person when I'm making that film, and I'll be influenced by different things. So I think for me, there's no fluid boundary. Like I think everybody has to keep experimenting and testing their own boundaries and limits of form, of content. And some will perhaps be limited by what you have access to. Like, to be honest, for this film, I had one camera and I had to use an on-camera mic. And so then you figure out, okay, if this is what I have, how can I use this to tell my story? If you have more, you think of different ways. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. Can I take you back to before Badshah Lear, before you became a filmmaker? Like this is also a personal question to me. I love films, but it's not easy to get into films. And you also in an interview, like you talk about you doing computer science, then went to also did an MBA. So from of course you have like a legendary father who's an actor theater. So there's an influence there, but still you do an MBA. But then suddenly you say like, once I got into it, I said to myself, this is it. So what is this moment? Where did that change you?
So the first thing was, while I was doing all that other stuff, I never felt like I belonged in those situations. Like I love computers and I still use computers all the time. I just realized I didn't want to program computers. I just like using them. But by the time you're in it, right? So then you have to somehow make your way through it. then you're like, oh, what do I do now? Okay, maybe let me do an MBA. But I never felt that I was in the right place. And I'm interested in a lot of things. I love music. I play some instruments. I love theater. I like read, literature. And in my head, I was like, I need to find something that brings all this together. And then while I was doing my MBA, I did this film appreciation course that this group of film scholars in Delhi used to do. And when I did that film appreciation course is when that bulb went off in my head. Like, this is where I can bring all my interests together. And that was it. I was like, this is it. I have to do this. It's everything that I love, I can bring together in this art form.
Interesting. Actually, one of the interesting element about your film is that it keeps a lot of windows open. Like, that is something that engage as an audience me in a later stage. For example, the violent scene at the end of the film where this guy is saying that Allahu Akbar, I will not allow this to happen. Then okay, the film it's just end there. Then you come up to a normal ending. So what happened in between? How did you manage that?
While that stuff was happening?
Yeah, so they did not allow you to perform. Then at the end,
they did. So yeah. So what happened was that guy came and he started screaming and shouting, and then some of the villagers sort of supported him. And then we decided, okay, let's pack up and go. The interesting thing, which I couldn't put in the film because it would need too much explanation, was that, so we had announced in the village, like you see that we had announced all across the village. So people from all over the place had come. And you can see how many people there were. So the people from the neighboring village said that, forget these guys, you come to our village and perform there. And we'll make sure that nobody disturbs you when it happens. So then the people from this village got offended that no, you can't go there. You have to do it here.
Okay.
And they started fighting. Like they're saying, we'll cut off your water and stuff if you take them there and stuff. So then we decided that, we have so much support from the people that we should just do it. And crazily, we couldn't finish the play. So many people came that the stage kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So they wrapped up the play very quickly, and it's like
very, very interesting. Actually, that gives a lot of insight into the situation in Kashmir, really, in the sense that even though there is a hardline, very aggressive, I can see it from his eyes, how serious and how aggressive he is. But in moments, within 3-4 minutes, the whole situation becomes so lucid and so fluid. So there's a lot of things into the culture and the way it is evolving there. So, did you expect, what would you have been done if the play did not happen at that time? Or how do you end the film?
I would have ended it like that. I would have ended it with this sad fact that it somehow looped back to what happened to the Bhands 20 years ago. This was exactly the same reason that they were banned from performing then by whichever local militant decided that they shouldn't perform. And it would have been a sad circle. It would have been upsetting, but I would have had to end it there. The last line would still be the same, where he says ki karwa chalta rahega. That would still be there because that spirit is still there. But the reality, if it was that it wasn't allowed to happen, I would have had to stay with that reality.
On this topic, we're talking about this threats, extremism, and plays and literature and art culture. So MK Raina says culture is an insulation wire. He talks about that. So this is, I feel like this is not just a film or not just a play for him. It's more than that, right? It's more like a trying to bridge that divide, that separation that we have created. That got created between Kashmir and the rest of India. So it's more than just a play. So was this just more than just a film for you too?
Of course. It's so personal. I'm making a film about my father, about some work that he's very passionate about. So it was more than a film for me, which is why I also got stuck for such a long time, because I felt I had to do justice to the story, and I didn't want people to watch it and say, hey, what has this guy made? So, and for me, one very important thing was that sadly in the media, Kashmir is only seen as two things. Either it's a violent, this disturbed area, or it's a idyllic tourist destination. And that is the only narrative we know about Kashmir. And I feel that there are so many of these other things that are happening there that need to be told, frankly. I mean, no place is one-dimensional or two-dimensional as it's made out to be. And for me, this was a way to... It is a way to show what is happening there, but not in the same language as other people show it. Because one casualty of this whole conflict in wherever place it happens is the culture, is the people, it's what happens to languages. Languages disappear, art forms disappear, things happen. And that is also as big a tragedy, I would say, as anything else, because it's thousands of hundreds of years of collected experiences and wisdom and art that suddenly just disappears because the 5 people who were left who knew it have died, and that's it. So, and it's something that I think I picked up, I have to say, from my father, because he doesn't do anything, there's no art for art's sake. Like whenever he picks up a play or something, he does do it for a reason. There is a bigger thing behind it. And I feel that layering needs to be there in all art. If there are not multiple layers of meaning, then it's very flat. Any art is just flat if it's just one thing. I think the complexity without it seeming complex is what makes art interesting to me.
Okay, what is the status right now for this kind of folk art in Srinagar?
It's not much
more village, or so hardly 25 families.
It's still the same. It's not, the problem is, they get stuck into doing some like small events and this, that, and the other. It's not much better. Like, it's not like more people have joined the art form or anything. It's still, it is, it's possible that in a few years there won't be too many people who do this thing left. Even now, it's entirely possible.
And you did some other films also. Just wanted to touch upon that, the Sufism and thing.
So that film I shot. Baba, he directed the film. I did the camera for that on Kashmiri Sufi music. Yeah. Okay.
This is. There is a link. Like there is a. If I should say that the art, culture, Sufism, songs, theatre. Actually, this gives a kind of a lubrication to the society. And do you think that the depletion of this kind of forms from our society is actually one of the causes for the friction which we see right now?
Absolutely, because I think these events used to be places where communities met up and in the same spaces. And what is happening now is that those spaces of interface are getting more and more segregated. So you meet only your kind of people. You don't meet any other kind of people. So if you don't meet other kind of people, how will you know what they are like? Right. And sadly, the other thing that is happening is that these art forms in some ways are also being taken over by divisive forces and being used for dividing rather than joining. The music, where the people are creating this music of hate and stuff like that. And it's in the same format of these folk songs and things, but it's not that. These things were meant to be spaces where people met and enjoyed themselves and, took a break from sort of the pressures of regular society. And the problem is that these spaces of interacting with other kinds of people are going with the going of these art forms also.
Public spaces are actually missing us. Actually,
Yes.
I strongly recommend whoever watching this discussions in Facebook or YouTube. So, I mean, you should watch this film. Actually, this gives a very good insight into the Kashmir, which we all see from far distance, but Anand has gone very close to it, and how is it all evolving? And it's really very interesting. I mean, it's actually a personal journey for you also, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
does it make any difference in you? Like, had it been not your father you following, would that be any difference?
Yes, I think it would have. I think for sure it would have made a difference. I mean, you want to be objective, but I think in this case, I have to be honest, it was impossible to be objective. So I had to take, I decided that it has to be my perspective of this, and I can't pretend that I'm doing an objective film.
Mm-hmm.
And well, if it had been somebody else, I think it may have had a little distance, I would say.
Absolutely.
The closeness that I got with the Bhands would not have happened if it was somebody else who was, because they treat me by default as family because they are so close to Baba.
Right.
So when I went to shoot that ritual that's there in the beginning, they almost treat me as part of the troupe. And if they are getting to go through somewhere, I get to go through that same crowd because I'm with them. And that distance may have increased if it was somebody else.
Yeah, you have never been any intruder into that system. Yeah, that always, when you do a documentary, that is something that is we always face a big problem. As an outsider, we make disturbance in the system what we are filming.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask a couple of things more before Ankit can come in. Like, how long did you take to complete this film? And I mean, what kind of techniques and everything? Can you just explain that?
Yeah, I took way longer than I should have. I had thought I would finish the film in 2 years or something, but it took me close to like 6-7 years to finish it. It's because, so I went and shot some stuff, which you can see because it's in standard definition, the interviews and things like that. And then I kept trying to raise funding for various parts. Okay, for the pre-production. Okay, I didn't get it. Okay, so let me shoot. Now I should try and get some money for post-production. And that never happened. So even that was a personal journey because you get disheartened. You're like, okay, nobody cares about this. I mean, what am I doing? Maybe it's not worth it. And then like, no, I should finish it. And then when I started editing it, I had thought the film would be the process of making the. So I had interviewed the local tailor who made the costumes and the local blacksmith who made the swords and people like that and I thought and the potter who made some things, some props for the film, for the play. And I thought that would be the film of how the play goes from script to the final play. Right. But when I shot all that and I went through the footage, I was like, this film will be very boring. Like, it will not be interesting at all. So then I got stuck. I was like, what do I do now? So then I started like putting sequences together, like a jigsaw puzzle. And the first thing I decided was what Ankit pointed out. I decided that this ritual that they do, this Sufi ritual, is going to be like this abstract opening. That was the first thing that I put into place. And I knew my end because it's very clear where the film has to end. So I had that. And then I had to sort of literally put this puzzle together that, okay, I need to tell the story of my father going back to Kashmir. And I need to tell the story of these, of what happened to the Bhands. And also the story of how the play came together. So it was pretty complex for me to try and structure it, but I'm happy with how it turned out. And I wanted it to be a little like not straight narrative. I wanted it to go here and there and people to be a little, maybe possibly challenged, if that's the right word.
it did work well. I mean, it communicates really. I mean, I can watch it at one sit and it's really flowing really well. Yes, Ankit, I think he wants to.
Yeah, for with this editing process, like this is not linear for you. So not thinking beforehand, like I'm going to make this film, this story, and I'm going to shoot that. You're shooting, editing, writing, changing again, right? This is your process.
Yeah.
This is, I think this works really well. I think this feels more organic, right? So, like how you say this, you saw this abstract scene and were wondering where to put it. So previously, I thought like you were like focused, and I want to open with this, but yeah, you were not. So this is like
I think, you know, for me, I like a friend of mine once commented. So I also play a few percussion instruments and things, and a friend of mine saw the Zohra Sehgal film. And he said, and he's also a musician, and he said, you know, Anant, I can see the music in your, because I think it's because of this organicness. Like, I let the film sort of direct me more than me trying to direct the film.
Yes.
So if I feel something should go on longer, I won't count. Oh, this has to be like 5 frames, and then I cut 5 frames here, and the next time I have to cut 4. It's like that Walter Murch sort of idea that where you feel like blinking is where you should cut. I mean, it's not exactly that, but I still think that even if I make another film, even if it's more fictionalized, I would still let it sort of pull me in certain directions. Because if you go in with a very strict idea that this is what my film should be like, you will try and mold what you've shot to be that, which may not be the right thing, which is why they also say that once you write a script, you should leave it in your drawer for 1 year. Or when you shoot your film, you should look at the footage after a while, because so it's not, so, you know, suppose you've taken a beautiful shot and it took you 4 hours to shoot because you walked up to the side of a mountain. You want to keep that shot because you're like, man, I worked so hard to take that shot, but it may not work in the film. So you need to let go when you're editing. So at every stage, you need to let go. When you're planning your film, then when you shoot, you let go what you planned and you do what's happening. Because that, like the guy who came to disrupt the performance, I couldn't plan for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you go with the flow. Then when you're editing it, again, I think you have to go with the flow and say, okay, this, I had decided this is not working. Okay, I'll do what seems to be working and see where it goes.
I have to ask about this Nanda and that movie you shot in Puri.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That movie, so that documentary is so funny and so good. Like, what's the story behind that?
It's one of my personal favorite films that I have made also.
That guy is to be the lead in the film.
So my friend, the Sardar who's in the film, Gurpal, he's a very good friend of mine, and he used to do this very interesting. He and some friends of his from Odisha used to organize this very interesting film festival called Buy Off, Bring Your Own Film Festival. And they were like, what is this rubbish of jury and selection and all that? So we want a film festival where there's no awards, no jury, no selection, no nothing. You made a film. This is the screen. This is the schedule. You write when you want to screen your film and you show your film. So I had gone for that film festival and this guy was there. And then he started talking to my friends and he started telling this story. And I just got so interested. I just quietly took out my phone and started shooting. And I kept bringing my friends and introducing them to him and asking him to tell them the same story. Again and again. And to show them the bike again and again. And I mean, it just happened. And then I edited the film and I screened it at the same festival on the last day. So I shot it on the first day of the festival and screened it on the last day of the festival.
You shot on an iPhone 4, right?
Yeah. It was, I mean, it was a story. It was, again, a story that you just have to tell. How can you not tell this story if you meet a guy like this?
I mean, just tell me something. I mean, you have been making film for so many years. I mean, so many people who are going to watch this interview will also eventually make films. So what kind of techniques you used and how is it being evolved? Is it easy to make film now than earlier? Can you just explain a little bit of the techniques and other things what you used?
Right. So I used a Canon 7D with whatever. I mean, I initially just had an 18-135 lens, I think. And I didn't have a sound recorder, so I used a Rode mic, which went on top of the camera. They're still around, these Rode mics. And the interesting thing is I had never shot a film by myself before this. I had always used camera people and stuff. This was the first time I was like, okay, the DSLRs are here and I can't hire a cameraman. There's no budget. So I'm going to shoot it myself. But I did study, like I read up about cinematography. Obviously, I had been around film, so I had a fair idea. So I really think the equipment is not important. It doesn't matter what equipment you have. You need to know what that equipment can do. And then when you're on shoot, you shoot with that equipment in the conditions that it will do the best. Or if they're not the best conditions, you figure out what your equipment can do. I really think it's more important to have your principles, the storytelling principles, the camera principles, the sound and stuff like that. The concepts in place, and then whatever equipment you have, you can make it work because you know those principles at the back of your mind. So it doesn't matter if it's an iPhone, it doesn't matter if it's a DSLR, it doesn't matter if it's a RED. The fundamentals of everything is the same. It's just that you know, okay, in an iPhone, I have a fixed lens. I can't zoom in, zoom out. So if I need to zoom in, I'll go close, or I'll just decide I'm going to shoot everything on wide, which is a choice. So you then take that creative decision. So I really think it's important to know the fundamentals of everything. If it's like me, if you're doing everything, then you need to understand a little bit of everything. And then whatever equipment you have, you'll figure it out. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, the best camera is the camera which you have in your hand. That's
exactly. And now you have even cell phones have better cameras than like beta cam and stuff like that.
Now we can film in 4K in iPhone. Yes,
exactly.
Getting some indication from the organizers that we have to just kind of wind up it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have any questions from the audience, I mean, somebody is watching, then Vijayatan can just bring it forward and ask to Anand. Otherwise, it's indeed a great film, I should say, and all those who are watching should watch this film, which gives a deep insight into the dynamics of Kashmir, which we all see from very far. And I'll just conclude here, and Vijay can take it over. Anyway, thank you very much for this opportunity to interact with a great director, and hope
thank
to
you
see
so much. It was wonderful to chat with you guys.
It has been a privilege.
Yes, and it has been an illuminating and engrossing discussion in all sense of the thing. And okay, maybe the time at our disposal is limited. So on behalf of NIFI, we express our sincere thanks to Anand, Narayanan, and Ankit. And as mentioned, art is not only for art's sake, but it is beyond something else. And caravan chalte रहना चाहिए. And वो उम्मीद पे कायम है, so to say. And thanks for once again for being with us and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, each and everyone.
Thank you so much.
And my salutes to Baba. Please do convey Anand.
I will do that.
Please. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.